See, there's a difference between these institutional investors and then the small investor, somebody who has less than 100 units, because now these institutional investors don't really care so much about the price. They don't care if the cost of home ownership is going up by 20% or if they have to pay 60% more on their monthly payments, because they know that they don't need to make the money back right now. They have completely different financial projections and they just want to hold on to the home for the long term because they want to own the homes that people want to live in. So if you're getting priced out of buying a home, what's the next best thing? Well, digital real estate, of course, buying a home on the metaverse. Or maybe not, considering it's not gonna put a roof over your head. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest here. I don't know too much about this virtual real estate space, so I don't wanna talk about that, but what you've seen a lot of people pour their real dollars into virtual real estate as a way to capture now this digital real estate before institutions get their hands on that, because people are worried that now because it's becoming so much more difficult to own physical real estate, so they're trying to capture digital real estate before other people do. Now, full disclaimer, I'm a real estate investor. I invest in physical real estate. I understand it. I see the value in it, but I don't own any virtual real estate. I don't understand it. Maybe that will change one day, but as of now, I don't own any virtual real estate, but I do invest in cryptocurrency, especially things like Bitcoin and a couple other smaller coins, because I understand the value in those. So you have to understand the things that you're investing in, because people have been looking for alternative ways to invest their money and places to put their money, especially now that real estate has been becoming more and more expensive. I want to go back to a question that I asked in a previous video, which is, what's going to crack first? Inflation or the housing market? Because the reason why the Fed is so adamant on increasing interest rates and raising interest rates aggressively now is because inflation is getting out of hand. I mean, the prices of everything have been skyrocketing, including home prices, and the reason for that is all the money printing that we've seen happen over the last couple of years. Now, to balance out all this free money that we printed over the last 2 years, the Fed wants to now start tightening the monetary supply, and the way they tighten it is by raising interest rates, because when you raise interest rates, there's less money going into our economy, which tightens the monetary supply. So the Fed is raising interest rates to fight inflation, but the byproduct of this inflation war is that now homes are becoming significantly less affordable. Typically, when the price of an asset goes up significantly, you're going to see less demand for the asset, but right now we're in a weird economy where we still have such a low supply of homes available for sale, and it's still taking construction companies a long time to build homes because we're still dealing with a supply chain shortage. And at the same time, even if homeowners are starting to walk away, you have big institutions that are willing to buy up homes at really high prices, so they're willing to pay higher numbers for these homes because it makes sense in their investment portfolio. But everybody has a number and everybody has a breaking point. Eventually, we're going to hit a point where home buyers are going to say, okay, this is too much. I can't keep paying these crazy home prices, so I don't want to buy a home right now. I'll continue renting. And you're also going to hit a point where these institutions are going to say, all right, these mortgage rates along with these high home prices are just not making sense. Maybe we should just hold off on buying more homes. Once you hit that point, now you have a lot of people that will want to sell homes, because hopefully you'll see more inventory, and then people who want to sell homes won't be able to sell their homes, but you won't have demand. You won't have people that want to buy homes. That's when you would see a shift in the housing market, and the question is, what's going to happen first? Is the housing market going to crack first, or will it be inflation? Because we don't know how much and how fast the Fed has to raise interest rates to get inflation under control. And if we don't see inflation come under control, but we keep having to raise interest rates, making housing much more expensive, then it could be housing that breaks first. Now, this is where the Fed and the government have been trying to reassure everybody that that's not going to happen. They keep saying that they're going to be able to get inflation under control. They're going to be able to get inflation back to around 2%, if not this year, then by next year, or in the next couple of years at least. So they're not too worried about that happening. But the concern is, what happens if the Fed is wrong? I mean, we did go from hearing the Fed say that inflation is transitory time and time again to say we have nothing to really worry about inflation, to them giving us a very mild first rate hike in the early part of 2022. And then the Fed said that inflation is starting to get under control and we need to brace ourselves for much more significant and many more rate hikes in 2022 and 2023 to now fight this crazy inflation problem. So what does this mean for interest rates and our housing market? Well, we're going to see interest rates go up. The Fed is going to continue raising interest rates unless something changes, but as of now, the Fed is going to keep raising interest rates, which means mortgage rates are going to go up, which means housing affordability will go down, and this is unless we see a shift in the supply and demand of housing. So supply would be if we start to see a massive increase in the amount of homes available for sale, and the demand side, if we start to see less and less buyers. If we see more and more homeowners turn away because they can't afford homes anymore, and if we start to see more more institutions start turning away because the higher housing costs just don't make sense. But at the core, you have to pay attention to what's going on with inflation, because inflation is going to dictate interest rates, because if inflation is not cooling down, the Fed is going to keep raising interest rates, which means mortgages are going to get more expensive as a way to fight inflation. The last thing I want to mention is for those of you who are going out to buy a home right now, if you cannot find a home, or if you can't afford to buy a home in your area right now, what do? Well, you have a few options. The first thing that you can do is you could potentially wait. Now, this one is risky because we don't know what's going to happen in the housing market. We know that, yeah, home prices go through cycles, but we don't know when home prices will go down. Is it going to be in 2022, 2023? Is it going to be in 2030? There's no way to predict that. But if you cannot afford a home right now, waiting is one option, that we don't go out and stretch yourself too thin and now have to live paycheck to paycheck just because you wanted to own a home. The second thing that you can do is look for deals. And by deals, I mean a fixer-upper. So there's a lot of homes in neighborhoods across the country that are not the best looking. These are homes where maybe a tenant destroyed a home, or homeowners had moved out and it just sat there and dilapidated. If you can find a home like this that looks like crap to most people, it could be a great opportunity for you to buy a home at a below market value price, put in some money, and now own the home at a price that's below fair market value. I do this quite a bit because I'm a real estate investor. I look for these types of fixer-uppers. It takes a whole lot more work because now you're going to have to sift through a lot of deals. And when you look at these properties, they're not always going to be the most attractive, but you have to have that imagination that what could this property look like if I put in $10,000 or if I put in $20,000 into this deal. If you find a property where you can buy it for $35,000 below market value, but you only need $20,000 worth of work, well, now you just found an opportunity. The third thing that you might want to do is look somewhere else. And this especially works if you have the ability to work remotely, because now if you move to a different neighborhood, or a different city, or maybe even a different state, you might be able to find opportunities that are significantly cheaper than where you are right now. Like in my videos, I give an example of buying a home for $100,000 to $150,000 all the time. And every time I do that, I get comments from people saying, where in the world am I going to buy a home for under $150,000? Well, if you look into the Midwest United States, Michigan, Ohio, you're going to find lots of homes available for sale for under $150,000. And many times these homes are going to be located in good areas. Obviously, you have to study the neighborhoods. Some of them are not so good areas, but a lot of times you can find homes for under $150,000 if you're willing to look outside of where you are right now. And the last thing that you can do if you really want to be a homeowner, but you can't afford these home prices right now, is you can work to earn more money. This is that growth mindset, where if you want something, the question is now, I can't afford it. It's how can I afford it? What can you do right now to earn more money? Maybe you take on more hours at your job. Maybe you work overtime. Maybe you work to get a promotion, or maybe you're going to start your own side hustle, or you're going to start your own business. If you start your own side hustle or your own business, now the upside is unlimited. But there is a lot more risk. I mean, there's a risk that your side hustle or your side business is gonna fail. Maybe you put in a whole bunch of time and money and it doesn't work. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody, but if you really want something, now it's about how do you learn how to do it. I mean, you can learn how to market, you can learn how to sell things, you can learn how to buy a product and sell it for a higher price. There's a lot of different things that you can do, but you have to be willing to put in the work. And if you really want to see the type of success, then you need to go out and start learning how you can start attracting more money, because if you have more money, well then you can solve this problem of not being able to afford a home. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide that goes over what passive income is, how to start generating passive income, and different passive income strategies. These are things that you can start doing even if you don't have a lot of money. So if you want to read this free guide on how to start generating passive income for free, all you got to do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.